Welcome to Our Voices. I have a special guest with me right now. He is the Executive Director for the Fairfield Community Development Corporation. He is Mr. Rashard Sanders. Rashard, how you doing, man?
Good. How's it going? You doing all right, Rush?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. Hey, it's an honor to be sitting here talking to you. Want to go over your project, what your plan is for the Fairfield area of Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay.
And but before we go to any questions, please tell the viewers and listeners something about Rashard Sanders.
Something about Rashard. Well, first off,
And don't lie.
Well, no lies here, all truth. I'm a native of Huntington, West Virginia. Graduated from, Championship Hill up at Huntington High School. 28 championships and counting, but we won't talk about that. I enrolled at Marshall University, graduated in 2007 with my degree in business administration with a focus in management. After working at Marshall, moved on, got out there to explore, the work land. I started, working for a company named Prestera here in Huntington. I work with underprivileged and kind of youth that they would say had behavioral problems and issues. Do some outings and events with them, kind of like some mentoring and things like that. Then I returned back to my roots at Marshall. Started working in the Office of Purchasing, worked my way up to contract specialist, was handling all our contracts for renewal and things like that. I would do our bidding for all upgrades, renovation, construction, things like that. I would do those from scratch, put those together. That was a pretty daunting task to do.
Okay.
Then I moved on to special metals. Loved it there. Had some layoffs, due to COVID. That kind of bounced me around and got me here at this job with the Fairfield CDC. I'm a family guy. Me and my wife, we're a blended family. We have 5 kids.
Ooh, yeah,
and not counting. No,
you're busy. You're busy. Yeah. Hey,
no, we're done. We're done.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna ask for a kitchen pass. You ain't going outside. No, you stay at home.
So I love them. I have a big family full of siblings. I'm the middle child, and that's of 7 sitting here and being like what would you say? I'm my mom's baby still, even though I'm not the youngest, because she always brags about me, and my stepdad goes around the neighborhood yelling all these urban legends of things that I've done, which is pretty cool. But I love it here, man. Huntington, West Virginia. I love the city. During college, I joined the greatest fraternity in the land, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Who? Say it again. What? Who?
You heard Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Found on Ice Cold Tuesday.
Hey man, I like those red beats you got there.
December the 4th, 1906, in New York. Cornell University.
So, hey, before I go any further, go ahead and give a shout out to your brothers. Go right ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I got to shout out the bros. The new chapter here in Marshall, Huntington, West Virginia. Shout out Alpha Zeta chapter at Washington State. Do a lot of work with those guys. Shout out Alpha Iota Lambda chapter, our graduate chapter there in Charleston. And we here for the world. We're here to lead the way. The first, the best, and the only ones. No, I mean, you guys are just a couple years late, but it's okay. Go ahead. I know you got something to say.
I'm gonna stick to my questions.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that, but I am grateful to my fraternity because it allowed me plenty of volunteer opportunities. We would do community cleanups in Huntington, over in the Fairfield area, going around picking up trash. We did backpack giveaways. We would coordinate with the Eddie Lewis Community Center there in Huntington. And I mean, at one year, I think we collected 150 backpacks ourselves. I'm not talking about the backpacks with the little string on them that you tie, I'm talking, these are like full-size backpacks, school supplies. We were able to cook food for the Little League football team. do some mentoring over there. We would also participate in the haunted house that they would have, which was cool because you get to go in there, scare kids and be crazy and do
Oh,
things like that.
wait a
So
minute, wait a minute. Oh, because you get to go to haunted house and get in there for free. Yeah, like step shows. You get in there for free.
yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I had to slip that in there. I just had to
that's
slip that in
funny.
there.
But yeah,
Hey,
man, I'm very appreciative of Fred and stuff. So that's enough about a little bit about me. That's all. I love to travel, drive fast cars, things like
with 5 kids, you ain't driving a fast car now.
that.
You
Hey,
drive
yeah,
you
hey,
you driving a bus.
no. Yeah, I probably need one of those Mercedes Benz vans, that they drive for deliveries and stuff for restaurants.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Hey man,
Nah, I'll never.
let's get it started right now.
All right.
Your vision for the Fairfield area.
Okay.
Uh, give the viewers a little backstory about Fairfield.
Man, Fairfield is a very historical neighborhood. Um, you're talking about uh, Douglas High School that was there during segregation. You had the founder of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson. He taught at that school. He was the principal there at that school, right here in Huntington. At one point in his life. If you've never heard of her, you can look at Tennessee Garrison. There's a home that she lived in here in Huntington. It's on 10th Avenue and 17th Street. They're in the process of actually turning that a into like a museum. Kind of people come into the house and look at different pictures and things in there, which is pretty cool. Fairfield has a very strong sense of family and community. Of course, things change it. Things come into your neighborhood and kind of change the aspect of those things. You have drugs, technology, crime, things like that. That kind of as things evolve, things change. Growing up in that area, man, you're talking about a church on almost every block.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of church members who would walk the streets and talk with people and pray with people. Um, Fairfield has always been kind of a give back neighborhood. So whenever you'd have when I was growing up, they would do these block parties and these events. And I remember going to those events. I remember never paying for food, never paying for drinks, cotton candy, things that were given to me. And this is the time, when grants and things like that weren't, as popular, especially, in that area. A lot of it was definitely due to fundraising, due to community church members, people at the community center and things like that. Uh, Fairfield has some very historical places where athletes have kind of grown and made themselves successful and where they are today. You have the 80 Lewis Community Center. We called it the Boys Club back in the day.
Okay.
And people will, you're talking about that's where Patrick Patterson and OJ Mayo and those guys kind of, grounded their roots. Then you had the J.W. Scott Community Center. Um, that's named after somebody in our community. They would do a summer basketball tournament. And man, you're talking about people coming from everywhere to play in it. You talking about Randy Moss, Jason Williams, all those guys. Tamar Slade played in that league. I can't say that. I'll say that some colleges that were in their off season, some of the guys would come down and play in that league and compete. It was like a really big thing
Okay. Okay.
down here. Um, so Fairfield is pretty tight knit. I love it. It's kind of made me who I am today. Helped shape and mold me into the person and the man that I am. So I love Fairfield.
When because I'm in Kanawha County, and when I would drive to Huntington, when I get off at the Hal Greer Boulevard exit and drive past Cabo Huntington, I used to notice the big difference from this big hospital, and of course,
Mhm.
the hospital is going to be well kept up.
Yeah.
Then you see the housing,
Yeah.
which is kind of run down. And then you go a little further down Hal Greer, and then you will see um, Marshall University.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, it was just, when it comes to beautification and everything, it was like we skip over this area, and I always thought it was just disrespectful in my eye.
Yeah.
And now they have torn it down,
Uh-huh.
and so where does Fairfield stand right now?
Well, right now, they're in the process of actually finalizing what they're going to do with that area. Um, you have different parties, institutions, constituents that feel that land should be used for certain things. Everybody doesn't agree on how the area should be used. The community, has spoken through surveys and things that have been done. People would love to have a grocery store there. People would love to have a small shopping center,
Mhm.
there in that area. But right now, that area is kind of in a standstill. I believe last it was being used for were some staging going on where they were building the School of Pharmacy and then a new parking garage. And people were kind of using it for parking at one point, but now it's closed back up. And I believe those plans are kind of on hold for that area. But hopefully we could get something in there soon. You know,
Who led the vision as far as trying to revitalize the Fairfield area?
the city of Huntington. Um, in 2017, Huntington won an award for America's Best Cities. Um, when they won that award, they were granted money. Instead of taking that money and just kind of, you know, doing what they kind of wanted to do with it, they created the Huntington Improvement Plan. You can see this online. You go to City of Huntington Facebook page. They recently made a post about it.
Okay.
You can kind of see the plans that the city made for the Highline area, which is further east. You know where St. Mary's is?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the Highline area. Then you have South Side. That's where you first come off the highway right before you come down into Hal Greer. It's more where the Ritter Park area, and you start to go west. Then you have the West End, and then you have Fairfield. Fairfield is kind of like the center of the city, and it talks about the Huntington Improvement Plan in there. So what our goal is to kind of follow everything that we do and how we step and how we move. We kind of want to follow in that plan and make sure that we're doing things to help revitalize the community. And that's when it comes. That's kind of how the Fairfield CDC was developed. At first, others were in charge, and I, I'll skip. Other people were in charge of what was going on. So the community came together in the city and felt that to have a more structured and pinpoint attack on how to better things in Fairfield, that's how they ended up building the Fairfield Community Development Corporation in 2019. So,
You mentioned food. You mentioned about grocery store.
uh-huh.
Um, what's where do they go now to get groceries?
Oh
What's the
wow.
closest? I mean, how far do they have to travel?
Let me see. Halger is considered 16th Street.
Okay.
So, if you were to go to the grocery store, you would be going to probably Kroger. So Kroger, you have one that is on 7th Avenue and First Street, 16 blocks away. Then you have one that is on 5th Avenue, and I want to say 27th Street, 26th or 27th Street.
Okay.
So they're both opposite ends of the city. So people are either going there or there. They used to have a small grocery store which was over near the park called Mansour's. But people, I'm not sure what happened. Like post pandemic, once the pandemic started, they kind of
Mhm.
closed down, and things just weren't working out for them financially. It was more of a like a mom and pop store.
Okay.
You kind of go in and grab, if you like, oh man, I need something real fast, you go in there and grab it. So people actually they have to go pretty far to go grocery shopping. Um, some people go all the way to Barbersville for
Yeah.
Kroger. You have Aldi. Aldi is on. It's about 5 blocks down and 3 blocks over from where Kroger is on First Street. So you're still talking even further to get to Aldi to get some reasonably priced, low price groceries, produce, and things like that.
Now, when we say the distance travel to get to the grocery store, is it, uh, say the distance to the grocery store in other areas of Huntington, is it a lot closer?
Oh yeah, the
Okay,
one, the one on the one on Fifth Avenue is in Highline. It's in the Highline area, and then the
okay.
other one is basically considered once you cross First Street, that's the West End. So it's in the West End of Huntington. Aldi's in the West End of Huntington. So everybody from Fairfield and South Side, we have to travel to grocery shop.
Um, is there a lot of rumbling? I mean, a lot of complaining about that, where they have to travel so far?
Not really. You'd be surprised.
Okay,
Uh, you know, I read some of the notes on some of the surveys. You had some individuals who said, there was a grocery store place here. Like, I would still go to my grocery store because I know that I know where everything is.
right,
But I think
right.
something was there, they would change their mind and they would go.
Hmm.
Um, so people want that, but I believe that everyone has to get behind it and start to talk about it. Maybe start writing letters or
Yeah.
notes in and wanting that. So
Now, when it comes to safety,
hmm
I have learned that um, when it comes to um, certain area codes, you you follow, say, people in that area, say like a high credit score, you know,
uh-huh.
high credit score, certain area code, there's no crime there. But it was kind of the opposite with Fairfield, because I used to hear the stories about crime and stuff in Fairfield.
Uh-huh.
What's your vision on turning that around into, again, just a positive neighborhood?
Well, some things will have to change as far as communication and connectivity between neighbors. It's not like it used to be, where you might leave and your neighbors watching your house, or somebody calls saying, "Hey, somebody's, something looks suspicious outside. There's suspicious activity going on outside of your house." Or old school, like my grandmother, they'd come outside and say something.
Yeah,
They would come
yeah.
outside and say something to someone. So I believe that it's going to take the neighbors stepping up, taking a stand, saying we want our community back with a great effort. I believe that new lighting will play a good part in crime. If you go around the Fairfield area, there's lots of areas where it's dim, it's dark.
Hmm.
There's a lot of brush that needs to be cut back. Street lights aren't working. Things like that. They need to be upgraded or changed. You know, it just made better. Uh, very dim, so kind of people kind of sneak around and do what they want to do. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say most of your shootings and things that you hear about, you might have a couple in the area. Most of them are outside of Fairfield because they're either at bars or downtown or possibly at a gas station that isn't in the Fairfield area. Most of the crime in Fairfield has to deal with a lot of petty crimes. People
Okay.
stealing things off of people's porches, people breaking in people's cars,
Hmm.
into their homes, um, you know, maybe trying to take something from someone because the drug epidemic is so bad, and you have a lot of people in that area who aren't from Fairfield who are there, seeking a need, seeking a high, and they kind of linger around that area and they're in that place. So people, they tend to steal and do different things like that. Um, it's kind of sad. So I don't know if it's gonna take the community. It's gonna take the whole community to stand up, to make that change. And people actually seeking help and offering more help to people, I guess, that have addictions and things like that because it's just bad.
Do the community know who you are, and have they rallied behind you?
Some of them do. This is my ending of my 4th month, heading to my 5th month of work. Been doing a lot of introductions. Been learning about a lot of. I didn't know Fairfield had so many organizations. I've been doing a lot of meetings via Zoom. It's kind of hard right now. If this was 2 years ago, we could say, hey, we're introducing the executive director at the A. Lewis Community Center, and we could probably pack that place out, and I could do my talk and answer questions and go around, shake hands, kiss babies, and all that good stuff. You know how they talk about.
So like,
The
see, you gonna run for mayor next. Next step is mayor for you. I can tell.
So I have to do it virtually. It's kind of like it's a hurdle you have to cross because I'm not meeting people face to face. It's kind of hard to engage them and find out who I am as a person. And I've kind of leaned on some of those neighborhood leaders and those organizational leaders to kind of tell people who I am and introduce, like, kind of get me in more meetings in town halls and things like that where I could speak. Any panel I could do, I'm on it. Any video I'm on, I'm reposting it online because I want people to see and know who I am. People have definitely begun to, to rally behind me and have my back because I've had a strong connection to the community since I was a child. My grandmother pastored in Fairfield for 35 years.
Okay.
So I went to church, right there. Everybody, you call me Rashad, they say, Shad, Shad. They shorten it up. So everybody there, yeah, they know who I am.
so you can't mess up because they telling it.
Yeah, there's people going around calling me the Black Panther of Fairfield and things things like that. And it's cool in a sense, because, and I'll explain it to you like this: people know me, they know Rashad, but they don't know Executive Director Rashad because people, they saw the news article that went out and the announcement from the city, and I mean it was retweeted, reposted on Instagram, Facebook, shared, commented on. It got more traffic than the announcement of the 150th year anniversary of the city. Because somebody messaged me and said, "You must be a real popular person." I said, and I think it's not more of getting the people behind me. I have to get the people behind the Fairfield CDC because where it's new and people don't know who it is. I'll have people, if I ask someone to do something, say, "Hey, I need to partner on this. I need your help." Mm-hmm. They'll do it because you're going to reap what you sow.
Right.
And I've given a lot over the years of my talents, of my gifts. Volunteering in the community. Me and my brother, we play instruments. I play drums, keys, bass. He played drums, organ, and we played for so many children's choirs and revivals and Juneteenth events, just playing music for all types of stuff, jazz, anything you can name. And when people would ask us to volunteer for other stuff, hey, can you come down here and help pick up trash for this and blah blah blah? Yeah, can you help cut down weeds and cut grass in this area? Yeah, we got it. Can you volunteer for this program, that program? We were always there.
Yeah.
So now I feel that, and and it's not me just saying this. People have contacted me saying that you've got our support. So that not only makes me feel good, it lets me know that, hey, I also got to ride this wave.
Yeah, it's a big wave too. Yeah, yeah. Rashard, give me a feel-good story since you've been on the job as executive director. Give me a feel-good story right now.
A feel-good story since I've been on as executive director. That's a really good question. I would have to say that a feel-good story that I have, it would have to be that that when I went to work for my first week. My office is at the 80 Lewis Community Center. They have some offices out back where I'm located. There was a guy in there shooting basketball. Um, I kept going, man, I know, they have to wear masks while they're in there. I can't see his face. I know the height. I I know who he is by the shot. I walk by. He's like, "Hey, big brother." I say, "Hey." Turn around. Bill. It's Bill Walker. Uh, he played basketball here in Huntington, moved to Cincinnati, played for the Miami Heat, New York Knicks, all these people. And I got a chance to talk to him. He said, "Man, what you doing out here?" And I told him what I was doing. And he said, "Man, I'm so proud of you. Uh, I'm proud of what you're doing. You got my support for anything that you need." And he said, I appreciate all those times that you guys got on my case and they told me I shouldn't be doing this and doing that. And he was like, "I didn't understand at first. I was out here being wild, and making this money and just kind of being who I wanted, just kind of out here, being crazy." And he was like, "I grew up."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, how'd you grow up?" He began to tell me a story just about how um, traveling to other lands. Once he left the NBA, he got the chance to travel overseas and play. He would be in these places, and he would be alone. He may be the only person there that spoke English. On his they had some people on the team that spoke a little bit of English, but you have to learn a new language. He'd be in his room where he was for so many hours a day. It kind of gave him a time to like really see, who was reaching out to him, who was contacting him, who was speaking to him, who was really worried about his well-being and things like that. It gave him a chance to evaluate his life and things like that. Uh, just to hear his story and what he's done. He's a huge product of Fairfield. Uh, it made me really proud to hear him talk about not just that, but just politics, things that were going on, current news. And I'm sitting here listening to this guy, and I'm like, man, this is not the kid
Yeah.
that we knew that would get technicals, get ejected from the games. He would get kicked out of the center. We volunteered there in the summer. He get kicked out probably once or twice a week. But the guy who was over the center would always let him stay afterwards and shoot balls and things like that. He talked about that stuff. There's
Yeah.
actually a video I want to share with you that he did recently that's on YouTube. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
that's really good. So that was a really good feel good story right there. Just seeing somebody uh, on the first day of my job after being in the house for 9, 10 months, almost a year, no
Hmm.
contact really with people due to COVID, and us having our newborn children, our twins, uh, and to run into someone your first week of work and them to talk like that. um, it was a really good feeling uh, to hear that from that guy. Try to think of something else. Another good feeling um, with the job is kind of a good feeling and a funny feeling. Is that a lot of people congratulate me and they don't know what I do.
Hey, now, Rashard, I'll be the first. I'll be the first to admit, I reached out to you and I congratulate you.
You did.
And I know you're probably like, who the hell is this dude right here? Because I'll admit, hey, listen, I applied for that job also.
Okay.
So, so again, I want to be the first to say, again, congratulations on getting that position. I know you will turn Fairfield around. I know
Yeah,
you will.
that's my goal. That's my
Now,
goal.
here's going to be a little sticky subject, right? Little sticky area.
Uh-oh.
Going. Well, you can't handle it. You can't handle it, alpha man. You can't handle it.
Oh,
Okay. When it comes to low income housing, low income neighborhoods,
uh-huh.
there's crime, and when there's crime, there's police.
Yeah.
You know, as far as what's going on in today's society uh, with the police and African Americans, you being the executive director, how has the Huntington Police Department, how have they received you as executive director?
That's one entity I have not had the opportunity to speak with yet.
Really?
I haven't had a chance to speak with them yet. I'm sure it's a meeting that's coming up, hopefully. I was
Okay.
afraid that'll be done. I know they did some hiring recently. They were doing the testing. It was supposed to be at the 80 Lewis Community Center, but I believe they had to move it because they couldn't use the outdoor track due to the weather. But I'm not sure if that was kind of like a chance to try to get some people from the Fairfield community to apply and maybe become officers. I'm not really sure, but I've had a chance to speak with them. But I look forward to doing so.
Okay. Uh, I'm sure you probably have some goals, some a mission that you
Uh-huh.
have in mind as far as partnering with the police department. Uh, Anything in mind?
Oh yeah. I was on a panel for Kwanzaa. My friend hosts a thing called Kwanzaa Con, and the other guy on the panel was someone I went to college with who moved back home, became a police officer. I've had different thoughts on, the police department. I know every police officer isn't bad. Um, I know every police officer isn't what we see or what people record. I know it's those very few bad apples that ruin the bunch per se. Um, I had a chance to talk with him, and I was kind of guarded during the call, during the Zoom, but I began to really listen to what he was saying. Kind of gave me a different outlook on things, and gave me a few ideas. I listened to what he said about his connection with his community that he's policing and where he is there. I believe that a lot of things can be avoided if a lot of guys, they may hire a guy and you'll see him drive by and you go, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
you know, uh, I believe that some guys they may not be from here. They may be transfers. They may have come from the service, um, serving our country, and then they get hired. But I believe that before people join the force, before they police an area, I think they should do some volunteer work, some community service there in that area. Come in some regular clothes, no gun, no badge. Come volunteer at the Eddie Lewis. It's a core place, a core area in our community. Come volunteer, shoot some basketball with the kids, play some kickball, uh, go out on the playground, you know, help instruct them, or if they're doing something wrong, say, hey man, get down on that, you're gonna hurt yourself. Because then when you come around in the uniform, it's like, oh, that's Officer Mike.
Right.
It's not like it's like, oh, like we gotta, I see kids
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
freeze when they see the police, or they get scared, or they may want to run because of what kids, they have so much, they could get a hold of so much more with the technology that they have nowadays. They know a lot. And
Right.
I believe that if they were to volunteer, do community service in that area, and that will also allow the parents that are come picking up their kids, they'll they'll meet that person, before they start to patrol those streets. Because if you're new and you're not from here, you don't know. Uh, I'll just give it a random name. You don't know Corey that steals bikes all the time. You don't know that that's just what Corey does.
Yeah.
Corey might have a mental health issue that everyone in the community knows that he has, and most people usually get their bikes back from Corey. But
Yeah.
as a cop, you don't know that. You're pulling up on the situation. You're ready to put somebody in a headlock, or pick them up and suplex them, do a WWE move. Like you need to find a new career. Like
You
if
went
that's
that
what you want,
route.
yeah, like join the UFC. Um,
Uh,
but if you know that as a
yeah.
police officer because you've been in the area, and those kids or somebody was like, "Oh, that's Corey," to go over to him and say, "Hey, Corey, where'd you get the bike from, man? Let's take it back." And you get to take the bike back, say, knock on the people's door. Here's your bike, Corey. Took your bike. Oh, thank you, officer. We appreciate you. you know.
Ma- m- Looking at the economic factors in Huntington,
Uh huh.
you mentioned about having a grocery store.
Yeah.
What yeah, safety is one. economic factors like a bank and everything, things of that sort. What are some of the things that the corporation have in mind as far as building, teaching residents about home ownership?
Mhm.
So, what's on your agenda for that?
Well, right now in Huntington, there's a lot of dilapidated homes. Um, so our job as a FCDC is to kind of lead the way, with that. Like once you tell these dilapidated homes, like what is going to be what's our next move? What are we going to do moving forward? Um, these are things that we have to look at on a daily basis. You have uh, we have a program that we're working on now that deals with home ownership. I can't really spill the beans because it hasn't launched yet.
Oh no!
I've been
Oh
kind of reaching out to people, kind of finding out who wants to be a homeowner,
yeah.
things like that. Because one of the goals is uh, we need to close the gap between white home ownership and black home ownership. We need to close the gap between uh, low people in that low economic area and people in the high economic area. We need to close that gap in home ownership between those two. Not
Mhm.
just black people, but minorities, white people live in the Fairfield community. Like we change home ownership. They recently they posted City Hall, and I believe they said I want to say 69% of the homes in Huntington are rental homes.
Whoa, that's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. So
Whoa.
yeah, so there's a lot of rental homes, and a lot of the landlords don't live in Huntington. People come by the property and they rent it from afar, have someone else go fix it, do things like that. So there's a lot of rental. If you were to say, Ray, if you were to say I moved to Huntington tomorrow, I can help you find an apartment by 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay,
Like
okay.
it's that easy because there's so many rental properties. It's
Now,
wild.
now you say, okay, by 4 o'clock tomorrow, you can help me find an apartment. Okay. So what if I say, okay, I'm trying to buy a house in Huntington. How
Uh-huh.
much time would you give me then?
Uh, man, we probably need a couple months to to get that rolling. No,
Okay.
a couple months. I know a really good realtor. We could probably get you in something pretty fast.
Okay. We stand on economic empowerment.
Uh-huh.
One of the main things, education. Education. So has Marshall University partnered with you all, and where they fall in all this? Where do they come
Well,
into play?
Marshall University is one of our institutional partners uh,
Great.
within the Fairfield CDC. Um, we have Marshall University, Cabell Huntington Hospital, um, the Huntington Housing Authority, the City of Huntington. Uh, those are institutional partners. But we also, we work alongside with the Marshall University, the School of Pharmacy, Eddie Lewis Community Center, Ebenezer Outreach, uh, the Black Pastors Association in Huntington.
I was
Um,
just about
and
to ask you that.
yeah, the Black Pastors Association and various other groups. Marshall University has been really helpful. Up until this point, uh, we all know it's student enrollment is down, things like that. So um, they are definitely lending resources, as many resources as we need. They're willing to to lend those to help and do what they can, and what they can do financially. I'm sure they will do in the future and in the present and in the future. But it's been an open door. It's been an
Good.
open door. When you speak of Marshall and Fairfield, there's people who love Marshall from Fairfield, but there's people from Fairfield who don't care much for Marshall. You have the people who say, like me, that are like, man, go herd. Like I went over there, I went to college, I graduated, I attended the football games, I
Mhm.
stayed in the dorms, all that good stuff. Had my little college experience. We have
wanted to play. Hey, wanted to play as Kappa, but you fell short and play as Alpha. Okay,
I'm not sure what Kappa is, but
you
so I'm
you
just
know I'm gonna take a shot at you.
but we there's people who feel, oh yeah, Marshall, they do what they want to do and they bring stuff in our community and don't ask our opinion so those are the relationships that I'm trying to build. I'm trying to rebuild that trust and get rid of some of that distrust between Marshall and the Fairfield community, because we're in each other's backyard. And I believe that if they can help us to get to where we need to be, then we should be open ears to listen to that.
Rashard, I got a few more questions, and I'm gonna let you go. How do the neighboring communities adjacent to Fairfield, how do they feel about this project here?
Um, I've had a chance to be on a call with all those leaders from those communities, and they say they're willing to help. They're like, hey, if you need help with anything, let me know. Like, kind of, they'll tell me some of the ideas or some things that they did when they got started. They're like, if you have any trouble with this or that, here's my number, give me a call. If you like to partner on some things, we could partner on some projects. So they've been very welcoming to the Fairfield CDC.
Okay. Now I know that right now, again, I'm sure you're not at ground zero. I'm sure you've stepped up some and made
Yeah.
some buildings, and getting ready to take that next level up. Before I let you go, you got the floor.
Okay. Well,
Speak
uh,
on what you want to speak. Talk about Fairfield, um, and if you want the community to help, how can they help? Can they pitch in? Can they donate? What can they do?
okay.
Floor is
Uh,
yours.
well, first I want to say thanks for having me, Ray. I appreciate it. Um, Thankful for the invitation to come on your podcast and talk about the Fairfield Community Development Corporation. Just so everyone knows, we are a 501c3. We consist of stakeholders in the Fairfield neighborhood that that live there, work there, worship, play there. Um, our vision, we want to, restore the creation and maintenance of affordable housing, commercial real estate, education of residents, promotion of healthy lifestyles. Um, we want to increase the economic wealth of residents, regardless of their ability to pay, their ethnicity, their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, or anything. I didn't get a chance to talk about. We have 5 pillars. We're going to focus on health and wellness, education, housing, jobs, economic development, and safety. It's my job to help lead the way and get those done through our strategic planning and things like that. We have a board of about 17 individuals. I'm very excited to be here in this position. Um, like I was telling Ray earlier, I'm a product of Fairfield community. My grandmother passed there for 30 years. I'll share a story with you all that I've shared with a few other people. My grandmother, when she would go to church, Bible study, or anything like that, she would walk. We lived a block away from the church. 17th Street separated where we lived from the church. She would walk every day. Um, some older neighbors say, you need to give your grandmother a ride down there to the church. Why are you letting her walk to the church? I say, well, she wants to walk. I felt kind of bad about it sometimes, that she would walk down there uh, a half block or so. Um, and I was like, man, why don't you just let me give you a ride? And she walked to church. I mean, well into her 80s. She would
Mm,
walk down there. Um, and after she passed away, uh, I would meet people, and I still do to this day. They go, man, I'm so glad, your grandmother stopped and prayed for me, man. She helped change my life around. I was headed to jail, or I was addicted to drugs, and she helped me to be able to get my life together and change some things around um, in my life. Uh, People would tell me how she would come sing at their family members' funerals. How some churches, if you weren't a member, they would charge you to have a funeral there. She would let their family come and have the funeral for free. I've seen my grandmother sing it. I've seen my grandmother do funerals where there's one person there, and she would preach like it was 1,000 people there. And I've seen her preach at a funeral where it was jam packed, and she would do the same thing that she would do at that funeral for one person. Uh, there's people who would come up to me and say, "Man, we couldn't pay our electric bill, and your grandmother, she wrote us a check so we keep the electric on in our home."
Mm.
Things like that. And now I see why she was walking, because that was her chance to get her hands in the neighborhood and talk to people and reach people and be there for them. And I
Amen.
feel that
Amen. Amen.
me being in this position gives me the opportunity to carry on and continue her legacy. I might can't give you those powerful prayers of Pastor Martha Johnson, but I can use the tools and I can use the things that I provided through this job to help you be successful, to help you become a better person, to help you educate yourself, to help you buy a home, to make your neighborhood more safe, and also to help you with your health and your wellness. So I'm very excited to be here. That's one of the things that I'm most excited about, is that I could be just as giving as she was in a different capacity. Um, I'm not a pastor or anything. I do love God. I'll talk to you about Jesus if it comes to that.
Mhm.
But I'm so that's one of the most exciting things about this job, is carrying on her legacy in a different capacity. And if you want to follow us on social media, just type the @ symbol, and it's FCDC Huntington, and you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our webpage is currently being built. People will be able to donate via our webpage through PayPal. You can also, um, if you want to send a check in the mail and
Okay.
give a
All right.
donation,
Okay.
we at PO Box 1246, and it's Huntington, West Virginia 25701. And if anybody needs to get in contact with me about anything, just shoot me emails, hrsanders.fcdc@gmail.com, and I'll get back with you. And thanks again, Ray, for this opportunity, and I appreciate it.
All right. Rashard Sanders, thank you, man. Again, it's been a pleasure interviewing you and talking about your project and revitalizing the Fairfield area through Grandma's love.
Yes,
Through
sir.
Grandma's love. All right.
All right.
You take care, man. Be safe. Hold on for a second, okay? So let me stop this.
Okay.
So again, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.